Call the December 18th special board meeting to order. Here. 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 Here.
Pattern. Here. Webster.
Here.
Burke.
Here.
Jeanette.
Present.
Terminelli. Curran. Here.
Thank you, Kelly. I'd entertain a motion now for the approval of tonight's agenda. I have Mr. Jeanette, second by Mr. Curran, Mr. Perkin. Any discussion on tonight's agenda? All in favor of tonight's agenda?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Denisha.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I offer a resolution authorizing the chair to award bids, sign contracts for the St. Lawrence County Public Safety Complex renovation project and modifying the 2023 budget for the county administrator's office to make this adoption.
And for a second, second by Mr. Lightfoot, Mr. Jeanette, Mr. Webster, and Mr. Curran. Any discussion? $500,000 contract, no discussion. I just want to say thank you for all involved in this planning that's gone into this extraordinary. Looking forward to the completion of this project, and thank you for all the work in this area. You certainly.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. This has been it's certainly been a joint project, a lot of effort by a lot of folks. I'm not going to recognize any one person because I'm afraid if I do, I'll miss someone. I don't want to, but it's just, I think it's great. It was a collaborative effort. I think St. Lawrence County folks in engineering staff. And I think the really great thing about this is that the contracts were all awarded to St. Lawrence County firms. They'll be employing St. Lawrence County people. And thank you very much. One question.
Anyone else? Mr. Reagan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think it's particularly important for the public to realize that we're doing this without bonding, without paying years and years of interest, and we're also using one-time federal funds to pay for a lot of this, which is saving the county taxpayer money. We'll be saving county taxpayers money every year during the time that we would have been bonding if we'd gone that route. So I think members of this board deserve a lot of credit for finding a way to do a much needed project that will provide a great deal of benefit to citizens across the county while not burdening them with additional costs and helping us to hold the line on taxes. And as we did this year and last year, actually give a tax rate cut. So I think that this board has been extremely responsible in our use of federal funds and in making sure that the long-term needs of the citizens of the county are taken care of first.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Yeah.
So this resolution, as you see presented tonight, requests a total of $7.5 million. And that is no small amount of money, regardless of its funding source. And with that being said, the work that's being done and voted on tonight is on 4 major contracts. So I want to clarify that, and also what's left that will have to be bid out separately. So in the contract this evening, you're seeing the general construction or the general contractor, the plumbing, mechanical, and electrical. And those are the lion's share of the work associated with this project. However, we have also maintained outside of this contract, the hazardous materials abatement, the diesel generator purchase, the HVAC control, improving the cell service within the building, commissioning, which is getting all the systems to talk to each other along with the systems integration, as well as the furniture for this project. So those will be above and beyond the amount that you're approving as far as the contracts go, but in total, provide the opportunity to complete the project with one resolution.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Roll call, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Nat?
Aye.
Aye. Reagan?
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Smithers?
Yes.
Denisha?
Yes. Yes.
Second. All in favor? Good evening, everybody. Calling the meeting to order. So may I get a motion to approve the agenda? Current, Stephen, Mr. President, thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we need a motion to approve the minutes for October 30th. Mr. Curran,
Aye.
motion carried. First resolution we have is with real property and Bruce Green. Title is for correcting and refunding erroneous taxes. May I get a motion? Mr. Burke, second by Ms. Curran. Sure. Whenever you're ready, sir. Thank you very much.
The resolution before you tonight is a annual resolution that we bring forth in order to correct tax bills of $2,500 or less. What this allows us to do is to work with the real property office along with the treasurer's office to correct any bills that are in that $2,500 or less area.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Second, we have discussion for real property and tax exemption. Good.
With regards to the correction of errors that I just had mentioned, Ruth had asked me to put together for the last number of years of what corrections there have been. Since 2021, there's been 45 corrections. 2022 was 41, 2023 is 44. So they stay pretty typical from one year to the next. Corrections that typically have to do with exemptions or something. Mr. Oh, no.
Any discussion? But
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At my town board meeting the other night, Steve brought up veterans exemption and where we're at. And
So
we'll might look into it next meeting, and here we are.
yes, the veterans exemption, where we're at with that is a couple of towns out there. Hammond, for example. Exemption limits. All that means is it allows the limit to, New York State allows the limit to go up higher than it is currently. St. Lawrence County, as well as nearly every town out there, has a limit of wartime of 12,000, combat of an additional 8 to make it 20, and then disability of 40,000. So what Hammond has done is gone to a $50,000 limit. Just it increases their limit, allows veterans the ability to have a larger exemption.
Just as a follow-up, and I'm sorry, I said veterans too, and veterans, I did have a question, but it was firemen.
Okay.
Firemen's one. Yeah, thank you.
The fireman exemption is new since last year, December 2022. It was increased the limits of the volunteer firefighters exemption, ambulance workers. And what it does, essentially, it drops off that $3,000 assessment cap on the top side. So a municipal board, legislators can increase the limit to just leave it at the $10,000 exemption, excuse me, the 10% exemption with no cap on it. And that would be this new law. That would conform to this new law. There's the fallback on that is there is a $200 income tax credit that a person may apply and get automatically on their income taxes. So it's different. Property taxes and income taxes, they can go for either one, but not both.
If there's more than one individual, that's, say in the empty, we get a whole,
They do, yes.
just another question. So if the town decides to do, their own thing, that affects not just the town, but it affects the county and school.
If the town creates their own local law, then it just creates that new law for that town and county tax. Just the town portion. The school, yeah, the school would then have to adopt their own. The county would have to adopt their own. So that's why the limits can be different between each municipality. Well, I may add one more part to the firefighters. There is a limit, date limit that New York State says this will be repealed, and that's December 9th of 2025. So as of that point, the current volunteer firefighters exemption would then go away. So something between now and that time would have to be adopted if you want to continue the firefighters exemption at that new level.
Sure.
That's the question I was going to, that was the question I was going to have is, so it's a discussion as to whether it would go away or not. So you've answered that.
Yeah. And the last one here that I've got is the senior citizen exemption. If you haven't gotten this, talking points on this, then you will have it shortly. And again, it's a limit that the New York State has increased on through state law, and it allows a municipality to increase the limit of how a person can qualify through their income. You have to be 65 years of age or older and meet the income requirement. State has now allowed the income level to go up. The current limit right now for St. Lawrence County is between 12,000 as a base income, and you would get 50%, they would get 50% exemption on their property taxes for county taxes, up to a maximum income level of 17,699.99. So at that level, they get 20% on their county taxes. So if that's of interest, you've got some information for you, I believe, on that as well. The limit the state has gone to is up to 55,700 of income that we're to decide to go.
Great.
Bruce, do you have any numbers on how many families avail themselves of these?
I do, yes. Currently, there's 441 senior citizen exemptions within the county. This amounts for a total of $10,132,571 of exemption assessment.
How about the other exemptions?
I don't have them in front of me, but I can. Yeah, one more thing. Was asked at the last meeting by Legislator Denisha, I'll put the re-levies for Ogdensburg was. That was a total of $321,965.42. That's being put on the current city taxes that we're processing in the office. This is the time of year that we are doing town and county tax bills. It's actually gotten off to a pretty decent start. Quite productive today, and those things are processed in our office and printed downstairs in simple printing. You expect to meet the deadline of having these bills out by next Friday, the 29th. So they're in the mail. So things look pretty good at this point to meet that. This again is the first year that the city will be part of that town, and in this case, city and county tax bill. This is something brand new, so we're so far it's working okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next up, we have Highway Department with Mr. Chambers. First resolution is for modifying the 2023 budget for the Department of Highways for fuel, equipment, and repairs. Motion. First, second by Mr. Kern. Where's yours, sir?
Thank you. This resolution modifies the Department of Highways budget for repairs and maintenance. As the legislators are aware, we had a very busy summer, which resulted in increased fuel costs and increased repairs. And in this, we also have repairs made to other departments, which we had a modification. So in that line. Also during this budget year, the state of New York changed their internal rental charges that we have to do for cost accounting, and went from rates that were published in 2017, and they had not changed them. Mid-year, they instructed all municipalities to move to the FEMA rates, which were considerably different. So we had to go back and make modifications. So this is actually bringing our internal rates through the true cost accounting for the revenue and the expenditures. So this is balancing it all within the existing budget, but it's also the true cost accounting that we're required to do on projects and maintenance within the department.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Roll call.
Thank you.
Next, we have authorizing chair to sign a contract with Barton and Logidus GPC for engineering services to replace County Route 22 over Sawyer Creek, DIN 334 0950 PIN 775-425. I get a motion. As per second by Mr. Perkins, thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, thank you. If I may, this resolution and the following are related. New York State DOT, discussed with our department of possibility of engineering these two projects that we're going to talk about tonight with one firm, and bid them as one project in the end. Usually the consulting fees on a singular project are running mid 300 and some $1,000. By combining them both and having one engineering report for two projects and then bidding them as one project, I believe we are yielding a savings, significant savings on engineering costs. And we will have a more likelihood of drawing in more contractors to bid when we go to bid for this project, because now it's a little larger project, because they are two smaller sized bridges than what we've done in some projects in the past. So again, I think it is saving us money on the upfront, and will, I believe, save us money when we go to bid. So, yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So again, this project selection for the consultant was done through the local design services agreement, which was put out for solicitation region-wide and by New York State.
Yeah, these costs per engineering, are they a percentage of the total cost of the project, or are they just? Or is there any way to really?
It's really not. There's more reports and permitting than there is in engineering design. That is so. That's where when you're even with a smaller project, and when you're doing the reporting, there's so much. The documents are literally 600-700 pages long. You know, and a few 30-40 pages of plans.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Next, thank you. Next up is authorizing the chair to sign a contract with Barton Lodges DPC for engineering services. They replace County Route 34 over Trout Brook, BIN 3341630, PIN 775-426. Make a motion, Mr. Burke, second by Mr. Kern. Thank you.
yes, so I can say, again, this was the combination for 34 and 22. 34 is bridge is located in the West Potsdam area, near County Road 35 intersection. The other was County Road 22, town of Bellwood, near California.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Thank you.
On the other highway, we have use of county-owned machinery. We get a motion. Perkins, second by Burke. Thank you. Sir.
This is a resolution that is done on an annual basis, which allows us to do shared services with the other municipalities in this county. So without the authorization of the board, I am not allowed to use our workforce and equipment to do shared services. I believe shared services are vitally important to not only the county, but all the other municipalities that require them.
Any discussion? Mr. Snooters?
Don, you said within the county, the resolution, it says within the state. Is it just within the county, or is it within the entire state?
We do shared services also with the state, but predominantly we are doing sharing with municipalities, villages, the towns and such. So that's really our lion's share, but we do some sharing with the state of New York. For example, we work with our patch paver on the state project, and then we have state trucks out hauling blacktop to patch paver paving county roads. So We do partner with the state, but more often with the towns, so that's why the state is mentioned in there as well.
Any discussion?
Follow-up. In the resolution, it says any municipal corporation, political subdivision, district corporation, or school district located within the state. That seems to encompass quite a lot more than what you said.
Yes, sir. It could be drawn in if that's the pleasure of the board, but this is the wording that actually been used for decades. So we could certainly qualify that in. There could be a potential where if there is a storm, governor is called on local municipalities to assist in another in the state. But certainly
Understand what we're doing.
that would be the statewide impact. So, or severe snowstorms. But even in the severe snowstorms that we've had, most of the time, the county would take on local state work, and then they would actually ship state equipment and resources before they would tie into the counties.
Any follow-ups to that? Good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. While you're there, sir, next we have solid waste with Mr. Chambers. First on the agenda for this is modifying the 2023 budget for the solid waste department for recycling. Perkins, second by Mr. Perkins. Very much.
Yes, this resolution is working within the existing budget, moving some money around. Unfortunately, recycling costs have not come down at all. They have stayed above $100 a ton, pretty much the entire year. It went from a little over a year ago, we're actually getting a couple months. I believe we received a revenue from the disposal of recyclables, and it's gone in a year and a half to some additional stuff associated. That's or at the
Don, would you have any cost associated in addition to the tipping fee? The actual cost per ton to handle it, to transport it down there, and then bring an empty truck back?
I could work up an estimate if you'd like on that, but we on the average about 6 loads, 5, 6
Oh, yeah.
loads, so it's a daily
Right.
drive with the tractor trailer.
Right. I'd be interested in knowing how much it costs. The reason I'd be interested in is I'm just wondering, and you know, maybe this is a pie in the sky, but is there any way that we would be better off taking care of our own solid waste, or excuse me, our own recyclables? And in light of the fact that Watertown, single stream, Jefferson County, is actually making money. It's costing us 10 times as much this year as it did last year to just get it there and offload it. That doesn't count the cost of, well, that $100 a ton doesn't count the cost of the transportation and the driver's wages. So I'm thinking that maybe it's worth looking at, you know, vis-a-vis staying with what we've got.
For the recycling facility in Watertown, material comes sorted.
Right.
Where our material is all commingled.
Mhm.
That would be a shift back to these
That's correct.
to go back. So, to go to sorting facility, strip, single stream.
Well, I have no idea how much it would cost. I mean, you obviously have a better idea than I would. But I still think it's worthy of taking a look at exactly what it costs us per ton of recyclable.
So,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple weeks ago on the way back from Ohio, I got a call from a Jefferson County legislator just about this. And I told him after the beginning of, after the holidays, first of the year, I'd like to go down and just look at their facility and see what they're doing. And he was touting the same thing, that they're making money on recyclable, even if we could cut the trip in half, instead of going to Liverpool. But I just plan on taking a ride down and seeing it and just see what they got going on. But I understand if there's a lot more involved, breaking it apart and separating it. But he made it sound like the taxpayers ones that decided they wanted to go that way to keep the cost down. So,
understood.
Yeah.
And that is
an
that is
option.
a option, but I can tell you the national trend has been to single stream.
Oh, thank you.
No discussions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is authorizing the St. Louis County Solid Waste Department to formally adopt a credit policy. Motion. Second, by Mr. Perkins. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Yes. In light of the situation that we have with credit approval and delinquent accounts, I think it is time for the department to have a clear, concise program to have a policy that this department can follow, adhere to, and make sure that it is fair and equitable across the board for our customers that come into our department. This policy, this draft policy is very similar to Lewis County. Contacted Lewis County, so they are a member of also the bank consortium for our solid waste. And so this is very similar to what Lewis County is currently.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Don, I'd like to just thank you for bringing this forward. To me, it's long overdue, and I think it is important to all the users. Also, last week, apparently, the chip machine was installed. Is that correct?
We have the chip machines. We are waiting for the firm to come and install them and do training for our personnel.
Okay, we're getting there.
We're getting there.
All right, that's me.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have the county attorney. Resolutions for the transfer of exclusive option for the lease of county-owned mineral rights on 2 certain parcels of land for the town of Edwards. Parents, Mr. Sheridan, thank you very much. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. A few years ago, I brought a very similar resolution before you. Empire State Mines have the prospect of securing an option, an exclusive option, with the prospect of being able to lease that land if they were to discover veins on it that were conducive to their business. They've asked recently that they have a new agreement. The original agreement had expired. This resolution before you would allow us to do 1-year agreements for a successive 5-year period. What this would authorize would be for that first 1 year period to be executed by the chair.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Second, we have modifying the 2023 budget for the county attorney's office for the self-insurance fund due to increased costs and scheduled loss of use awards. In a motion. Karen, Mr. Forsythe, thank you. Good, sir.
And so the good news is that the self-insurance fund is actually doing very, very well. One of the reasons why it is because our county treasurer has done such a good job of investing the reserves to generate interest revenue associated with the operation. We had wanted to move money in between the revenues and the benefits and awards, but the complications that were caused, at least from an accounting perspective, warranted a different route, coming and asking to pull from the reserve with the full knowledge that at the end of the year, we're going to sweep more than an equivalent amount right back into that reserve to make up for that balance. So this will not put us operating in a negative balance per se. We have the revenues there. This will allow us to continue to operate the way we're supposed to, close that out, and the revenues that the treasurer has generated will then be swept back in to replenish what we're pulling out to put in the benefits and awards by way of this resolution.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Next, we have Treasurer Renee Cole. First, we have authorizing a blanket bond in lieu of individual securities for county officials and employees. Let me get a motion. Second by Mr. Perkins. Thank you. Whenever you're ready, ma'am.
Yes. On the screen.
An annual resolution authorizing a blanket bond in lieu of individual securities for county officials. There's been no change to this since last year. We've had this resolution.
So move.
Sorry about that. My eyes was bugging me out. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? I'm going to say none of you, so thank you very much, and excellent. Moving to the next one is bank depositories and investment of county funds. Mr. Burke, go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you. This is another annual resolution. There was one change made in March. Resolution 102/2023 modified the January resolution. It was number 21 of 23 to add JP Morgan Chase at the bottom. You'll see that on the front as the depository name. That was done because New York State had selected JP Morgan to utilize for their adoption subsidy program. So there's been no further changes to the policy since March.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have authorizing petty cash account and departmental cash drawers. Take a motion. Sure, thank you, Mr. Perkins. Go ahead.
And this is the last of my annual resolutions. This establishes the amount of petty cash and departmental cash drawers. There were no changes to the petty cash accounts from last year. From the resolution that was 22 also. But departmental cash drawers, there were two changes made since last year's resolution. We closed the $250 cash drawer that was for the Ogdensburg Treasurer's Office. We closed that anyway, as the office was only open January through May anyway, so we returned the cash. And we would have opened it again, but we're not opening that office, as you're all aware, this year. The second change, there was a $50 departmental cash drawer for chemical dependency in Ogdensburg. That money that was turned in, that was closed in June of 2023.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Just a note that the October bank reconciliation summary should be posted on Google Drive. And no one's asked me yet about December sales tax. But I typically try to send that out before finance, but there's 2 more payments expected to finish the quarter. So I'll send that in early January. 12/31 I have written down, and 12/30 and 12/31. So it will be December 29th, January 2nd that we'll see the December 31st.
So it's actually quite appropriate, I think, that Renee stay up. She certainly has a couple of positions to talk to you about tonight. But also you're seeing in 3 different departments requests for a position you haven't seen before. And that position is a senior fiscal officer. So in our review of what we've talked about all year long, between vacancies, between management at the department level for finances, and a number of concerns in and around employment recruitment and retention. We also took a look at career ladders and how fiscal positions move through the county, whether it be within a department or between departments. And Renee and I both have an interest in improving upon that, so that not only can we bring someone in, let's say even at an account clerk or senior account clerk or even at a fiscal officer level, and see them through up toward the positions you filled in accounting supervisor, assistant accounting supervisor, and really give folks an opportunity to stay within the organization, but to move through, whether it's in, like I said before, in other departments, or straight through in a department that they develop an expertise. So the first one in front of you tonight is requesting for the Board of Legislators office a split position that's currently in as a senior account clerk. And Jim's here if there's any department specific request, but you're good over there for now if you want. I'm sure you're upset about that.
Yeah.
But this position has been shared as long as I can remember, and it falls 50% under buildings and grounds and 50% under the audit. And so this person has a number of different types of work. They serve as the clerical function in buildings and grounds, making sure that when most of the folks are out dispatched doing work, there's someone in the office to make sure that those messages get through and the discussion continues around different work that happens. However, you may remember a few years ago, we upped that work by adopting a new software that allows now real-time information in and around the jobs that are being completed. So there's a management component to that. The idea with that is all of our equipment, as it's included in this software program, will also have dates of service, dates of replacement, dates of repair, and all of that is in the software program that this person manages. Bigger than that, though, is the responsibility on the audit side, which falls under my review. That position also each week completes the audit. After departments put in, submit, payment to be made, this position reviews all of those requests, if you will. And then it goes to the treasurer's office for final payment. So this really is the threshold between the department level and the treasurer's office. It's another check and balance. And what we looked at not only was volume, which we do in every scenario, but level of responsibility. And with this role, being in the senior account clerk, we've had several conversations in and around the audit. We thought we should really exercise the opportunity here to look at where we sit with a fiscal officer and a principal fiscal officer. And they're about 6 grades apart, I believe. And so we worked with human resources between the role and the treasurer's office, the roles that we're looking at, and came up with essentially somewhere in the middle of a senior fiscal officer. Now that means they can exercise supervision, and that may be required in some roles that they may take. In this role, it really would be supervising the work product coming in from all departments. So the request here is to take a look at, for buildings and grounds and for the Board of Legislators office, a shared position, abolishing the senior account clerk and creating the senior fiscal officer. Questions?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is that a competitive salary?
I don't know that I can answer that question. It's a challenge for us
Okay.
to recruit and retain based
Yeah,
on the
the
salary.
responsibility, I'm just wondering competitive that salary is for that position. And will that probably just be someone inside internally moving up?
Well, because it's a new position we haven't had, I think we'll advertise both internally and externally.
I was just gonna add a little bit more to additional, I guess, to what I also see the work responsibilities in that job. As far as the audit, the claims auditor is essentially, right, the board's authority. It's to ensure that policies are being followed and that they're authorized expenses. So that's what it's actually, I think, a required position to have by New York State. So if you didn't have that position, you guys would do it. So I think that's really where it kind of started from. And the other side of that is, I think it will actually help. I think there's been a little bit of more than a little bit of a need, I think, for some financial support for Jim on the buildings and ground side, more than I thought.
We have fiscal officers in, I think, damn near every department in St. Lawrence County government. Is that correct?
No,
Well,
but we do
no.
have some.
Well, I know we have some, and I don't know how many, but do we have them in the majority or are they in the minority with respect to numbers?
We have 16 fiscal titles, maybe not be fiscal officer itself,
Mhm.
out of our 24 departments.
Okay,
So 2/3,
okay.
but in many we don't, and they may function through a different title.
And when we say fiscal titles, I think you're looking at what position
He's
for the base. You're looking at from fiscal officer up. I don't think you're 60.
No, senior accountant.
It's including senior accountants, which is more clerical.
I'm looking for people that have a position that involves the financial workings of their department. And either supervision, oversight, grants, whatever you want to call it. If I may, I have a couple more questions. Does this person have anything to do with the grant process?
Well, if expenses are submitted to be paid out of a grant, they would be approving the payment. Now, they may not have expertise in the grant, what's allowed and not allowed by the grant, but the expense associated with payment, they would be approving that before it got to the treasurer's office.
Okay. And the net county cost struck me, I think, the same as it struck Mr. Forsythe. Where does that fit into the salaries for the other 18 or 16 people in financial positions within the county government?
So if I could clarify real quick, as you know, underneath where it says net county cost.
Right, I
salary
understand.
benefits you're looking at are all the senior account that we're abolishing. I would refer to Johnny on the range for the senior fiscal officer. If I could.
We did, we looked at where we fall within the contract, because it is a union contract, and it is competitive. Principal fiscal officer, grade 57. So we looked at that. We keeping in mind that we wanted it to be competitive, as competitive process as possible, but we wanted to keep it within that structure because it's a hierarchy. So we went with grade 25.
Okay, so can you tell me what a 25 starts out at and what a 27 starts out at? Sure. Okay. Thank you very much.
My question's been answered.
Any other discussion?
Okay, the next one is along the same lines, but in this situation, you would normally see indigent defense under operations. But this position also works with the board of legislators in that indigent defense has two positions associated with it. The position we're talking about tonight and a legal secretary. And if you recall, the contract we have in place with the Bar Association, the assigned council administrator is outside the county. And there's a contract in place that the Bar Association chooses that administrator, and we work with them on the staff side. So in this scenario, going back a few years, probably 2019, late 18, early 19, ILS, which is New York State Indigent Legal Services, put forward a more organized approach to the grant management, which each year, since I can remember, we've received grant funds associated with indigent defense. Now, moving forward, they now have tied those to a more competitive environment with budget approvals, narratives, and reimbursement requests. And so that requires not only in our scenario, taking in all the vouchers from the assigned council attorneys that work independently besides the public defender, conflict defender's office, and processing all of those, as well as competing for grants, filing for reimbursement, working with the treasurer's office to bring in the revenue associated with the grant funds that now used to be written in either a wire transfer, but we would just receive it. Now there's a lot more to it. The budgets are reviewed. The state created an office to review all of the reimbursements. And so now it has become a much more financial position than it originally was. The state calls it more of a data officer, but we're looking at this also as a senior fiscal officer position so that someone coming in can not only do the clerical component, but they can manage the finances of this as well. We're talking about over $3 to $4 million over the grant period, as well as the opportunities in the future for both family representation. We know we're in the middle of parole hearing, which is criminal representation funding, and more grants are coming forward as time goes on. So this position's become much more financial than we anticipated to begin with. And our hope is that we can get someone who can work with the treasurer's office, prepare those reimbursements, and bring back all the revenue that we're authorized through state contracts. Do you want to ask this one?
In particular, I think the horizon funding has been a major challenge for the existing, how the position is set up now. Because it started, I think, 18.
Yeah.
You know, the money started coming, and some of it will roll forward. So you have to have an accurate accounting from day one. And there are many different areas with which we use it in addition to it. And it's very complicated. My staff has spent a lot of time trying to help organize it so that it can be tracked appropriately and claimed. But it's been a real struggle for the department to manage because the staff didn't match with the work was on that side of what's needed.
Questions?
Yeah. If I may. They're both grade 25s. First one and this one. They're both 35 hours a week, but the net county cost on them is different. Am I assuming correctly that one has already been in such a position and has got time and rank, or why are the amounts different?
On the budget portion of the vacancy form, is that what you're looking at?
Yeah.
So you're looking at, on this one, you're looking at the abolishment of an administrative assistant. On the last vacancy, we're looking at the abolishment of a senior account clerk. So those two coming into it, and that's the data that's in front of you for dollars. That's what's being abolished, is the administrative assistant in this one. Where is that? 23. So we're going from a 23 to a 25 on this vacancy. The last one, or 19 to 25. So there's a greater difference in the work needed between the two positions.
Well, help me understand why we've got two grade 25s.
Yep.
With different salaries
So
and same position.
No. So the
In
position
name.
you're looking at on the budget, the dollars in front of you are from the positions we're abolishing. They are both the same dollar amount to start at grade 25. But what we're abolishing in each of these scenarios is different. They're 3 grades apart.
Okay.
That's why.
All
Other
right.
questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Along the same lines as Mr. Lightfoot, I've had an issue with this, with the net county costs for quite some time. because we go off the salary of the person leaving for benefits.
Existing budget, yes.
Yeah, is there any way to do that to the person coming in? I know you probably have to guess at what the benefits would be.
Well, I think what might remedy that confusion is, if, especially if it's a CFTA position or a union position, we know what the base salary will be. So we could include the range of the new position, particularly it could be confusing on the new position. This is base salary. So we can add that.
Because, yeah, the net county cost isn't accurate at all on any of these vacancy positions because of the benefits, then not being the same.
And we'll also be updating those, the vacancy forms for you for the board meeting, so they're available, because we have our new fringe rate for 24. Just remind me of that too. But yeah, we can update it so it's not as confusing when, if we're abolishing especially, they can look very different. Other questions? Okay, we'll move on to the treasurer's office.
Talking about. Okay. So it's going to be item 2 under the treasurer, the abolish of treasurer and create senior fiscal officer. Since we're talking about fiscal officer positions, we mentioned that we're bringing 3 of them forward. So the position that I'm looking for has a principal account clerk. It will be an upgrade from a principal account clerk to the senior fiscal officer. I'm just going to do a quick, I guess, a kind of quick overview. I'd like to do that about what the accounting role of my office. You talked about the departments and what they do. Our office reviews every entry that hits the general ledger that actually ends up in your financial reports at the end of the year, or your quarterly reports. You get those. And journal entries to record expenses, revenues, corrections for erroneous entries. They enter their payroll and their time entries, and then they enter invoices and payments, including county credit card purchases. It's our responsibility in my office to review, verify, check documentation, and assist departmental staff. We act as a resource to departmental staff when it comes to financial work. This position that I'm looking at here is in charge of reviewing weekly invoices scheduled by the county departments. As Ruth mentioned earlier, the claims auditor at Buildings and Grounds, her first position that she's looking at, they're looking at it from the perspective of policy and permission to spend and following, if there are appropriate expenses. We're looking at it more from the documentation standpoint. We also do check other things, but we're looking at account numbers that they're using numbers. We're kind of the final. We issued, as an interesting little fact here, we issued over 12,000 checks, P-card payments, and special checks in 2022. Now that's just checks, it's not invoices. A lot of those checks have multiple invoices, just to give you an idea of the incredible volume that goes through both this office and the claims auditor. Additionally, my office manages bail, fines, and surcharges that are collected and held by my office. This position is in charge of recording and tracking and issuing any receivers to pay those. Community colleges. This position is responsible for accounting for this program and monitors the budget. We notify the board office about overperforming, review certificates of occupancy prepared by my staff, my upstairs staff, for accuracy, and we supervise proper completion of these forms. We do tracking of expenses by count. Every year we send the towns this program, they're in charge of it, they from the administration with limited supervision. It's really kind of standalone program that's run by this position. With occupancy taxes, it's kind of the same thing with the occupancy tax program, the hotel tax program. This position sends out quarterly billing, they reconcile those payments that are received and what is due, and they follow up on non-payment. They help prepare budget information for occupancy tax and provide information to the board office and outside agencies such as the Chamber of Commerce on the program. And they must be well versed in the occupancy tax law. They perform the administration of the program, again, with limited supervision. They're responsible for all the accounting for this program and tracking those revenues. Other responsibilities of this position include printing all of the checks, the warrant posting, reconciling the monthly credit card bill and close. It's quite a big time-intensive process for the treasurer's office to close out that monthly bill. They also provide support to payroll as needed to help with this. And lastly, I wrap this one up. We're also assigning more year-end reconciliation and review work to this position as my very small upper level staff is overwhelmed with the workloads. We have high standards and expectations for our reporting, and our care and attention to detail contribute to the success of the county's results. This position will help us keep where we are, hopefully, and keep moving forward. Although I'm losing members. I'm losing my current staff member though. Next. Questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. County Treasurer, you sold me on that portion, so we're good. My question is though, these three positions, were they part of our budget? Is there an addition, we're not 3 new people, or what's this net? What have we done in?
So we can give you the net for all of vacancy, but the 3 positions, there are 3 positions, it's a net 0 per position, so it's not another body. It will be replacing, and there will be, you know, as I was just looking at, there's 19 for the senior counselor, 23.
Okay, just a little bit more in salary.
Yeah,
Okay.
same
Not-
benefits, you
Okay,
know,
that-
where
my
they're all.
concern was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Overall, we get you the net
Yeah.
total.
Okay.
Other questions?
We're losing, you said, really.
I have a couple of ideas for other county staff. Maybe that, you know, maybe not in my department possibly, but if not, we'll be advertising.
Sounds like. Brilliant. Delicious.
I would say that like all of our finance positions right now, it's gonna be hard. You know, I think we've had a very difficult time finding the right staff, you know, or the right person for the positions that we do have. I don't know that it's gotten any better anywhere. We gotta do what we have to do, though. I mean, we just have to keep trying.
Do you think having
I hope that it does. I mean, I think that it's a balancing act because we have other positions that are only 2 grades above it or 3 grades above it that I don't necessarily agree with their salaries either, but we have to keep it. Yeah, we have to be equitable.
Yeah, Renee, you said that your office is dealing with a lot and, you know, you're hoping this will, it sounded to me as if this will help you continue to tread water. You know, I'm not speaking for anyone else on this board, I'm speaking for myself here. I think it's important that your office has the expertise and the staffing it needs in order to do the job that needs to be done. And you know, I don't know what others you know, think, but I, for one, will be supportive of any efforts on your part at some point in the future if you need additional help. And by that, I'm not just talking about low-level help. You know, if you need additional higher level help, you know, I think that this county is dealing with a, you know, multi-$100 million budget. And, you know, we do not invest what we need into, monitoring it, tracking it. You know, it wasn't that, before you came in, the treasurer's office lost track of $1 million. They didn't have, you know, they couldn't, balance the checking accounts. You know, to your credit, you fix that. But I think that, you know, every year, there are more and more rules put on by the agents, the outside outfits that provide money to county agencies. And there's more and more hoops that have to be jumped through in order to get them. And every year or so, we hear about problems in which we are not receiving all the money that we're entitled to. And I believe it's because we don't have the horsepower in the accounting realm in our department to keep track of it all. And so, you know, sadly, I'm not preaching to the choir here. Not everybody agrees with me, but I just, you know, stating my views, and I thank you and your staff for all you're doing. And I, you know, just want you to know that I appreciate everything that your staff does and the county administrator, and just want you to know that some of us feel that it's important that the departments get the help they need managing their fiscal affairs.
I agree with Mr. Ray. We do need. But I'll go back, rehash something. It's already been decided, but. It's a lot of. We know where we stand. Somebody asked, is this a competitive salary? You can't answer that question. Because it's probably a broad answer, but at the same time, we don't know where we stand. Thank you.
Any other questions? One other position for the treasurer to review, and that is the abolish and create.
No, I'm just taking my, thank you both. We're singing my song, but, but I will say that I think these titles are a first step in helping, I think, countywide with a much big need, I think, with the two that we've had. This one for me, maybe I look at my office as an ever evolving office anyway. We've done a lot of redistribution of duties, try to maximize the staff that I do have. I'm not saying it's perfect by any means, and do things like ARPA and opioid and you know, you name it, something that we do this year, I do put a lot of pressure on us, but I'm pretty vocal when I need stuff too. Bruce will be happy to tell you that probably. But thank you for that. Okay, on to my next, the senior title searcher position. So we have right now currently 2 title searchers on staff in my office. And I think most of you know that we use them. They help us prepare for the foreclosure auction. They stub all the properties that are going to be in foreclosure. It's a really particular type of position because it's very specialized knowledge that not a lot of people that live and work here in St. Lawrence already have. And there's not easy. We have 6 different title searchers in one of these positions since 2018. It's kind of been a revolving door. So the one person who has been a constant has been a title searcher since 2004. And she has spent a lot of her time since 2018 training people that aren't already title searchers because we can't get them for whatever reason. We'll leave it at that, but we might have been mentioned earlier. So this, I'm asking to upgrade this to a senior title searcher so that it will help. It will be an official trainer of the incoming staff, which hopefully we will stop the revolving door, but they will also manage their full caseload, and quite frankly, she's what's kept us afloat for the last 5 years in this. They're still gonna be responsible for the review of all title searches performed for the new staff, as it has been. You know, once upon a time, I had 2 of them, and that wasn't the case. But that was in 2017 that she left, my last full-time one. So. The one that was. So, additionally, this, and it's in here, they also help out our staff from time to time. I think JNL was a big project that there was some title searching work, and it's very convenient to have someone on staff, and the one we had is extremely well trained person I'd like to look into this. I've been told she's the best title searcher in St. Lawrence County. That's the real property office that has said that about her. She's doing this already by default, so I'm just trying to actually, I guess, correct the title to what it should be and actually what we need it to be because of that. I guess that's all I really have.
I would just mention on these particular titles that we have looked and been asked the question in the past, well, why don't we just hire the abstracts done? And we've looked at that, I believe 3 different times we looked at that. And our concern was we have some pretty strict deadlines associated with our foreclosure, and how we adhere to those deadlines is because on staff, we can direct their work. Treasurer's office works with the county attorney's office. They have a great team that identifies these properties and directs the work. I don't know that we would be as fortunate being a client, a business, rather than having employees to do that. So that has been one of the reasons we have looked at it in the past. We tried to determine if that's a better course of action to recommend, and it has not been. And I think looking also at this position, up until this request, it's been flat. So there's not really anywhere to go from this position also. And this gives a small, just one other title, but it gives an opportunity for a career ladder, so to speak. The person who comes in as a title searcher could seek to learn and become a senior title searcher in the future. So where we can add those, we're very much interested in doing that and keeping the knowledge we have and promoting and investing in our talent. Questions? Okay, we'll give it a thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Next, we have the update.
Yes. Short update tonight. Appreciate the resolution going forward. The idea is we need to move those funds around and get those funds spent. Certainly our biggest, broadest goal in 24 is to get as much of the ARPA funds spent as we can. Tonight's approval of the capital project allows for 23% in that what's remaining the 4.88 million of the ARPA funds designated for county capital. So that's a huge step forward in the overall spend. And next month, after we finish 2023, we'll bring you the year in review. So as you know, there was a hiatus from the tree cutting associated with the Emerald Ash Borer. That's able to begin again. There's a number of projects that are moving forward to be able to give you that year in review in January. Any questions? Okay.
Moving on to the county administrator. First, we have authorizing the chair to sign an agreement with New York State Office of Information Technology Services for upgraded digital ortho imagery program and modifying the 2024 budget for the county administrator's office.
So you may recall, as an information item, a couple of months ago, I brought this up to you as an offer extended from New York State, but a pretty short timeline. In February is when it has to be committed. And so we wanted to go ahead and move forward with the 2024 budget coming in quickly, the board's approval to move these funds from contingency. There are multiple departments, as the resolution reads, emergency response, real property, that all benefit from this work being upgraded. And in this next upgrade, there are 5 areas: the Erie County region, Albany County region, Rockland County and New York City area, as well as St. Lawrence, Franklin, and Clinton are included in this next round of to be completed. So we would recommend certainly any of the departments here, I think that you're interested in, can speak to it as well. But we're interested in getting this approval so that we don't miss the opportunity.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have authorizing the chair to sign contracts. Motion first. Mr. Hall, thank you.
So this is the beginning of what's remaining in the annual resolutions that you take a look at. This allows for contracts to either continue or to move forward without additional resolutions in the following year. So every December, we bring this to you. We work with departments ahead of time to get those updated amounts, to remove contracts that are no longer, and include, and I believe we've got 2 on the second page in bold that have been added. But these allow business to continue without waiting the extra month. And these are important services. Questions?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Next, we have newspaper designation. We got a motion. Third, second by Mr. Reagan, thank you.
So this resolution comes to you annually and requires a sign off. You may recall at the beginning of the year once it's formally adopted. The last couple of years, we have expanded the official newspapers to include all papers in St. Lawrence County. And our actual spend for 2023 has been $5,603.57. So as we continue to evolve, we're able to submit our ads online, which has created some challenges for us, but also some continuity in what we're submitting. We know that's improved. So we would request that the Johnson newspapers, North Country This Week, and the Governor Tribune Press be approved for 2024.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next is the adoption of the rules of procedure. Motion. Grant, second by Mr. Forsythe. Great, thank you.
So this resolution guides and governs the work that you do here in this room and around the action that you take and the items that we include. It also includes the schedule that we set for 2024 and the deadlines associated with submission. So we have not made any changes other than to update the year. That maintains the meetings beginning at 5:30 for committee and 6 o'clock for board meetings. It also provides the opportunity, as we did tonight, to call special board meetings and guides the board's work.
Questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Next is authorizing the chair to sign a contract with St. Lawrence County Industrial Development Agency to provide economic development services for St. Lawrence County. In a motion. Ms. Curtis, second by Mr. Misha. Straight, thank you.
So this resolution comes to you as the 4th, I believe, contract since economic development separated off from St. Lawrence County in 2010. This contract brings a 4-year request with no change to the appropriation for 2024, no change to the request for 2025, and $25,000 in 26, and another $25,000 in 27. So the continued work, certainly the advantage that we have with our relationship of having ARPA funds administered, as well as the continued and ongoing economic development work and services they provide. I would request approval of the resolution.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. When leaving, chair to sign.
Resolution, we were able to bring forward the tourism promotion agent resolution, as you may recall, a couple of months ago, to ensure that grant funds could be secured by the chamber with the requirements that they have with their funding agencies. This provides an opportunity to have another 3-year contract with the Chamber of Commerce. I think that's been very helpful in their grant applications to be able to identify that they have a long-term relationship with the county that's codified in the contract. This contract will provide a continued 50% of the retained funding from occupancy tax, and that is on a 5-year rolling average, which has seen increases each and every year, separate from the years of the pandemic, 20 and 21. But we also have met with the chamber. Their liaison, Glenn Webster, met with us to talk about having the chamber come forward to make funding requests when there are special projects that they'd like to see funded. We certainly had those conversations in the past. I think they can come and demonstrate overall county benefit, as well as demonstrate the impact of the combined chambers that we've seen happen over the last year. So we've had a good opportunity to talk through what that's going to look like for 24. They've been helpful, I think, in not only the bass fishing component, but also working to combine chambers where it makes sense. And looking forward to hearing from them each year, as you have been, to provide you with an update, see what's happening, with the chamber, as well as they partner with economic development, at the IBA for partnership opportunities. Questions?
You should.
Thank you. Trevor, I actually have a question for Mr. Dixon. If I may. Ben, we talk about tourism and bringing folks to St. Louis County so that they can spend their money, enjoy the area. We've got I was up in the town of Clifton last Wednesday evening at the board meeting. And we spoke about Cranberry Lake Mountaineers were there. They have a big presence there with the snowmobile club. But years ago, we used to have what was known as the Yama Fest at Cranberry Lake. And it was sponsored by Yamaha, the factory team. They brought all sorts of snow sleds there. There was Bombardier was there. There were all sorts of manufacturers there. But now there's no place for anyone to stay in Cranberry Lake. There are very few places for anyone to eat in Cranberry Lake. If you want to buy gasoline, you either buy it in Star Lake or at Seavey's Corner. We've got a huge, in my opinion, and historically, looking at it, we've got a huge opportunity for economic development based on tourism in the southern part of the county. But aside from the trails, we have nothing to offer. We don't have places to stay. We don't have places to eat. We don't have places to, there's a few places you can get beer. But those are getting few and far between. We've got this magnificent trail system. And I really, perhaps the chamber is doing something to encourage the folks to come in and folks to invest in the area by building a restaurant, building a motel. It's not just the winter time, it's the summertime as well. Cranberry Lake is it's the largest body of water in St. Lawrence. It's the largest lake in St. Lawrence County. And so I guess I would like some input as to what, if anything, chamber is doing to try to enhance that.
Yeah, certainly, big challenge to infrastructure. Lack of tourism infrastructure in the, Adirondack foothill region of the county. Trying to build off of what is still there in terms of lodging and things like that. For instance, with our work with the booking platform. And I'd like to note our Director of Tourism, Tiff Amo, is here, and so she can try anything she wants. But so the booking platform hopefully will help increase awareness of the lodging that is there. Certainly, I think our working with the Industrial Development Agency and other entities in the area, hopefully we can build up entrepreneurial program, because as you know, finding and skill training people to be entrepreneurs and small business owners is the key to getting entities like that established. So we're working, with entities like the Center for Entrepreneurial Leadership or program that Suki Canton hosts. We have a number of other Point Positive and Shipley Center and Small Business Development Center that are all resources for entrepreneurial training. We're also have been starting outreach with this concept of the Coming Home Initiative, which is our effort to try to reach out and be in contact with people that have roots in the county that may come back here. That's probably our best sort of competitive advantage to trying to draw entrepreneurs back to, take on those kinds of enterprises. Example is seen a mega reunion and, trying to reach in through events such as the reunion at Wanakina. We attended that. It happened to be both a
reunion for the Ranger School as well as homecoming for Wanakeen at the same time. So trying to make some, find some entities through channels like that. But it, you know, it certainly is, you know, a challenge to build up that kind of tourism infrastructure in that area. So certainly would love to have any recommendations too from the board and from others in that area. So Tiff, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I would like to note that we have been engaging more short-term rentals as well, because there are a lot of those available in the more rural areas, and especially Cranberry Lake. We've been talking with the Cranberry Lake, the paddlers and the mountaineers, and we actually have compiled a list, and I think there's at least a dozen different short-term accommodation options on there. And we're working to engage them to get them included on our booking platform, because those are kind of options for people that aren't, you know, necessarily, you know, hotels or motels or that kind of infrastructure, but they do exist. And they are options for people to come and stay to enjoy those trails. So that's really something that's at the forefront of the booking platform for us, is engaging with short-term rentals and not just, you know, the big chains and things like that. And there's upwards of like 300 and something Airbnbs available throughout St. Lawrence County. So we're working, you know, to try to bring more of those in. So I think that's a big opportunity platform to kind of help with that, you know, tourism aspect. If you're planning your trip, there's all these awesome things to do, but where do we stay? So we are looking at that. And we've also invested a considerable amount in short-term rental data through a couple of different platforms, and we also partner with the Adirondack region and the Thousand Islands region in this data collection to try to get data that's actually relevant for developers. So people who want to come in and they say, oh, we know you have this bass fishing tournament, you know, in Washington and Messina. Is there room for more hotels to be built in this area? So we have invested in collecting data to try to figure out, you know, where is there room for developers to come in and kind of create this infrastructure. That's another avenue that we're also.
The booking platform is live, by the way, so I would encourage you to check it out at visit stlz.com, and you can go in there and search by area for lodging and book your stay right through that platform. And I also would note, because we've been very active with, you know, very connected to Cranberry Lake Mountaineers to help develop out those recreational assets. So.
Follow up.
Yeah, and if I may, now, and I understand the Airbnb and the bookings are great, but they do nothing for the people that are traveling through. You know, if you're passing through Cranberry Lake, you want a place to stop and have dinner. You want a place to stop, you know, get some gasoline. There's nothing there. In Cranberry Lake Lodge, Cranberry Lake Inn sits there. It's vacant. It's owned by you know, someone from out of the area. Will not do anything with it. He will just let it sit there and rot. So I just think about the and I know you know, you talk about it, well, if you build it, they'll come. Well, you know, that's a pretty steep, you know, that's pretty chancy.
Steep assumption.
Yeah, but and the other thing, anecdotally, I've heard from folks in the rest of the Adirondack region, Lake Placid, Tupper Lake, places like that, the Airbnbs, they actually are detrimental to some of your established lodging, hotels, motels.
You also remind me there's a group with the North Country, a working group with the North Country Regional Council that is specifically looking at lack of tourist infrastructure in the rural parts of our North Country region. And so certainly a good group for us to look back with and see if we can address that issue.
Yeah, and then that'd be great. If there's anything, because the Clifton Pine area is that's part of the area of part of my district. And if there's anything I can do to help assist, jumpstart anything, be more than happy.
We'll give you a call.
Thank you.
Mr. Rutherford.
If I could just add a little bit, I've been working with Dixon and Chambers since I started, and one of the things was the very first time I was there, they had a big thing on the Clarkson games and all that, and I said, that's absolutely great. But it happened one time that I know of. I've hammered on them and I've pushed them to get involved with the trail system and all these other things. I said, you guys need to commingle and you go get, find some of these places and get memberships and in turn you advertise for them and work together. I mean, that's one thing. With the internet, it's an internet presence, that's everything. And they're doing it. They're doing a really good job at that. They're gonna get involved a little bit with the county on the eclipse and stuff. More businesses we need. I'm a small business owner, and I can tell you, they are killing us. You're finding all these small businesses out in these outer areas are just slowly disappearing. No one says, hey, I want to go start a small store or a gas station. No one says that anymore. They want to go get a job where they're going to get retirement, days off, and vacations, and that's why they're going. Unfortunately, there's just not a lot anybody can do about it at this point. But the advertisement, it's so easy. No matter where you are, everybody has one. You can go on there, you can look to see, hey, let's look Premier, like, what do they have up there? And I mean, even if it's just the bed and breakfast or the VRBOs or whatever like that, at least there's a way to find out about it. Because you can't find them in a phone book. You can't find them on a, you know what I mean, by looking them up. And I've been hammered on. Do I not? Sometimes I'm like, and they're like, but and they do, they're so open to everything, and they're doing a great job. They really are. I just wish, like you said, there was more places like that. That Yama Fest sounds like that would be a lot of fun.
The data that we've been investing in, we have a mobile data system that we use, so we can see like where people are coming from, how long they stay, what they're doing, all kinds of things like that. So we are trying to hone in on like, where are the areas that we need to, be able to direct people and how long are they staying. We're trying to get the data to help answer these questions. So we're
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to point out in my own business, Airbnb only accounts for less than 1% of my business's revenues. But I think Airbnbs are healthy for the county. I think they provide a new source of wealth and revenue for many families across the county who are, I know some that are building cabins and building lodging places, small, single cabins that they're renting out. I don't doubt that the corporate hotel chains see Airbnbs and bed and breakfasts and such as a problem and as a threat to them. But I think it's one of the great things that we've seen over the past decade has been a huge increase in the number of these small lodging outfits that have popped up across the county and are continuing to pop up, and more people are investing in whether it's a tiny house or a rustic cabin off a highway or whatever. People are making there are a lot of seasonal dwellings in St. Lawrence County. And a lot of families are taking those seasonal dwellings and using them to provide housing during the rest of the year. And that's helping us to bring more people into St. Lawrence County. Those people are shopping, they're going to restaurants, they are, spurring our economy and paying sales tax. And the fact that we've seen an increase in the amount of revenue that's been generated by the bed tax, except for during the pandemic when the state shut everybody down, shows that these efforts are paying off, and it's helping a lot of property owners pay their taxes and provide additional wealth for their families, and that's a good thing. And I just don't mean to be argumentative. I'm just saying that it's something different than was done for many, many years. But the internet has brought these kinds of new ways of doing business to the North Country, and our efforts to expand broadband access that this board has so much gotten behind to bring into the rural areas is going to pay off in the long term as far as helping people to work from home and come home to St. Lawrence County and raise a family and start a business. Thank you.
Nation.
One last thing, I don't disagree with Mr. Reagan, but you really ought to come to Cranberry Lake and see where there is to eat up there and where there is to stay. By gas.
And I just want you to know that if I could say, the IDA has repeatedly talked to the person that you referred to try to see if there's anything that can be done to change his mind about taking that empty building and bringing it back to life and making the case to him that whatever it was that may have happened in the distant past, it's time to move on. And, I'm sure we will continue or try again, because I agree with you. I mean, Cranberry Lake is one of our great assets in this county, and we really need to find more ways to market it and bring people there and have more businesses there.
Thank you. Resolution. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Excellent.
Thank you to all the legislators for your input there. We'll certainly continue to, try to put focus into trying to build out the supporting tourism infrastructure in the area, and we'll be in touch with you for sure. The other area that we're also trying from the recreational asset side, continuing to push that STLC trails, which gets a lot of exposure to people to the trail networks that are there. So thank you for the input.
Business, is there any? Well, here's the first we have, social services from Mr. Stever. Had a resolution modifying the 2023 budget for social services budget for administration, Medicaid, temporary assistance, maintenance, furniture, fuel, and mileage.
Good evening. Excuse me, this is an end of year cleanup kind of a resolution. There were some areas that we went over a little bit. There are other areas we went under a little bit. And, with the end of year coming, end of year purchasing cut off this month. My director of finance wanted to be ready for the end of the year, so she started putting this this budget mod together so we can start getting the accounts balanced out. And, that's pretty much where we're at with this one.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Nice.
Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you. Any new business? No new business? Mr. Nisha?
Yeah, just some information. And it was, and when, our county treasurer spoke of the, mentioned J&L. There was a, IDA held a public hearing last Thursday in, Cranberry Lake Fire Hall down in Clifton, in regards to, NYSERDA is, they're having, there's a rep there from NYSERDA and, Pat Kelly, Lori Sibley, and, a gentleman from, IDA. And, anyway, the public hearing was about the, a solar array at the Benson mine site. I believe it's, 112 acres. And, NYSERDA is, they started, accepting bids. So it's, I think it's something great. We talked about what we're gonna do with the J&L site. You know, it's gonna occur on the tailings piles. And, you know, it's, at least we're gonna see some activity on that in the next 1 to 2 years.
Any other business? No, seeing none, right. Moving in committee reports, first up, back to Mr. Nisha, anything from the Cornell Cooperative Extension Board?
No, actually, our December meeting was postponed until January due to unexpected illness of PC Executive Director.
Next, Fish and Wildlife Management Board, Region 6, Mr. Sheridan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Fish and Wildlife will be meeting on December 21st. And we'll have a report next year.
Very much. I see Mr. Terminelli's not here, so going over, skipping past the Fishing Advisory Board, going to the Governor Fair Board with Mr. Smith.
Nothing new to report.
Speaking with you, sir, anything for the Highway and Solid Waste Committee?
Nothing new.
Mr. Regan, the Industrial Development Agency.
I think Mayor Denisha has covered, much of, and Ruth, covered the contract, so, the board IDA is meeting Wednesday, so I got the opportunity.
Mr. Perkins, anything for the Recreational Trails Advisory Board?
No meeting until February.
Mr. Forsyth, State River Valley Change Development Agency.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We met last Tuesday in Louisville. We went over the year-end numbers for the RVRDA. It's probably approved a loan for northeastern sign. I think you're out of Colton, South Colton, up that way. Buying some additional equipment to expand their operation. We gave them a loan to help them out.
Mr. Webster, St. Lawrence County Chamber of Commerce.
There's not really a lot more to talk about. I will say they had a couple of craft wine shows and the wife went to it. Really impressed. Figured she bring home a bottle of wine. Instead, she brought home 60,000 calories. Cookies and muffins and everything else getting there. The platform's up and running. We talked about that. I think that's gonna really help. I think that's really gonna do well. The budgeting, we got the budget is done and we can all move forward with that. I think that was kind of a breath of fresh air and everything seems to be going pretty good. Thank you.
Mr. Burke, Soil and Water Conservation District Board of Directors.
Soil and water doesn't need sunburn.
Thank you. There need to go into executive session.
There is for negotiations, litigation, personnel, which is the medical, financial credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation, and appointments.
Then motion to go into executive.
Bye. Good work. Merry Christmas, everybody. Thank you very much. I already said that.
With,